Hi everyone, Dr. Heather here. It's pretty late. I just got out of a Zoom meeting. I'm feeling inspired to make this video. I almost didn't because I don't have a pretty woodsy background or anything fancy to show today. But then I remembered that over a year ago when I started this YouTube channel, I right away from the start decided I don't want to have anything where I feel like I need to make it too fancy or too edited because I know that if it takes me 5 hours or 2 days or whatever crazy amount of time that a lot of these amazing YouTubers put into their videos, I knew I would never make videos then. So I just want to come at you with whatever I have, wherever I'm at, whenever I have some time to fit in a video. Um, so that's what I'm doing tonight. I want to talk about a topic that I've posted recently on my Instagram account. Um, I realize that I do a lot of my posting, probably the majority of my content posting on Instagram. It's the most frequent posts that I create, and I tend to make lengthy captions, which are informative. So they're on the longer side, like I said, and I try to share a lot of information that way. But I realize that not everyone is on Instagram, and so I want to try to provide this information to you in as many ways as possible, so that it reaches as many people as it can. So these topics, again, Instagram, if you haven't followed it, if you are on Instagram, is drheather.nd, and I'll post that in the description to this video as well. If you are on Instagram, I would love if you follow me there. I hope and think that you will find it really beneficial because, like I said, I try to make my posts very informative. Um, so follow me if you don't already there. Again, if you're not on Instagram, that's why I'm here for you too. So the posts that I just made were about breathing, two different aspects of breathing, and I'll touch on both of them here. Of course, they're bigger topics, but I'll give you a little bit of an overview. And as always, if you see anything here that you're interested in, you can either ask me if you have more questions, so just reach out in the comments, or you can do some more of your own research around these topics, which I always highly recommend. Um, One of the main principles of naturopathic medicine is doctor as teacher. In other words, we love to inform our patients around diet and lifestyle, health in general. That way, our patients are empowered to take health into their own hands, to do their own research, to get behind the why of why we're making some recommendations, and to really understand their body better and health a little bit better. So, breathing. So it's something that we do all the time, day in, day out, right? No matter whether we're asleep or awake, we're sitting on the couch or running a marathon, we're always breathing. It's an involuntary mechanism of the body. In other words, we don't have to think about it. We don't have to remind our brain all the time, okay, brain, breathe, breathe, breathe. So it's involuntary. It's going to happen whether we're consciously aware of it or not. But that doesn't mean that it always has to be involuntary in every aspect. In other words, we can consciously change our breath. Sometimes our breath changes unconsciously. Again, it's that involuntary thing. If you picture yourself in a stressful situation, think about how you would be breathing. Maybe you've taken the time in a situation like this to take note of it. Maybe you haven't. But chances are, if you have, you found that you're breathing quick breaths, shallow breaths that are filling, or not really filling, but coming into your chest. So that would be like a quick, shallow chest breath associated with something like an anxious state. This is opposed to a more calm, relaxed state. You're taking longer, fuller breaths, and ideally, you're breathing more into your abdomen. So this is also called diaphragmatic breathing because it's really focused around the movement of your diaphragm, which is that large muscle that separates your abdomen from your chest. So it separates those two cavities. It's a muscle that kind of goes around the bottom of your rib cage like this. And so every time that you're contracting that diaphragm, it pulls down and it creates a bunch of extra space in your rib cage, in your thorax, and so your lungs expand and you draw lots of good air into those lungs. So that's again diaphragmatic breathing. Some people call it belly breathing. If you're not sure what type of breathing you do, a simple way to do a little bit of a self-test is put a hand on your chest and put a hand over your belly button and take a breath in and out and see which hand is doing most of the moving. For a lot of people, we'll notice that the hand over our chest is moving out and then in with our inhale and our exhale. What we're aiming for with belly breathing is to have the hand over our abdomen moving a little bit more so that when we're taking a breath in, it's a deep breath that's expanding our entire chest cavity. So you'll feel that in your belly because as your belly pushes out and expands, what you're doing is you're flattening your diaphragm out, which is making, again, all that extra room in your chest so that the air can come in and you get a good lung full of air. So that's diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing. It's something that you can practice regularly. If you're feeling stressed, even if you're not feeling stressed and you're just trying to retrain your body to breathe in this way, take a few deep belly breaths. Something else that I talked about in a recent post is similar to square breathing. I think some more people are probably familiar with square breathing than they are with the type of breathing pattern I'm going to describe. So square breathing is what it sounds like. It's basically breathing in a timed square. So for example, typically we use 4 seconds, but it doesn't have to be 4 seconds. An example would be breathing in 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, and then holding for another 4. And you're repeating that in a square. So 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, and another 4-second hold. And this brings awareness to the breath. It definitely helps calm and relax and ground. But there is a different breathing pattern that I prefer and tend to recommend to patients. And this is, I don't have a name for it, but you could call it the 4-7-8 breathing pattern if that helps you remember it. So it's about a 7-second inhale, a 4-second hold, an 8-second exhale, and another 4-second hold. And you can play with these numbers if they don't work that well for you. For a lot of people, a 7-second inhale will feel too long, an 8-second exhale will feel too long. So you can shorten them if you want to, or adjust. But the key is that you're keeping the exhale longer than the inhale. So you'll notice in the breathing pattern that I recommend, the inhale is 7 seconds and the exhale is 8 seconds. So just even a little bit longer of an exhale will do the trick. And the trick is activating the vagus nerve, which is associated with the parasympathetic nervous system. So that could be a whole nother topic or more for other videos, and I could potentially go down that road. I'd love to hear from you guys, what you're interested in around natural health, what you have questions around, but I'll definitely keep those topics, vagal nerve stimulation and parasympathetic versus sympathetic nervous system topics, kind of on a back burner in case we want to revisit. But essentially, when you exhale longer than you inhale, you're activating the vagus nerve, which is activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what you may have heard of as the rest and digest nervous system. So our nervous system is ideally kind of always tipped toward that parasympathetic nervous state, except for when we need to do things like fight or flight, that sympathetic state. Our lives nowadays are often spent largely in the sympathetic nervous system state, which is why we see a lot of conditions that are associated with high cortisol, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, basically that sympathetic activation. Just a very stressful, high energy state to be living in. We're supposed to be more in the parasympathetic rest and digest state. And so diaphragmatic breathing, which activates the vagus nerve, is excellent for tipping us back toward that parasympathetic state. And so that's just one way that we can stimulate the vagus nerve. There are a number of other ways, and again, that could be fodder for another video. But for now, what I want you to take away is that you can have a big effect on your mental state and even on your physiology, so the state of your body, through your breathing. So while breathing is normally involuntary, we do also have some conscious control over how we breathe. So just to recap, go for diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing when you can. So train your body to breathe more into your belly and less into your chest. Anytime you're breathing into your belly, of course, there's still going to be movement of the chest, and that's fine. There should be, because your lungs are in your actual thoracic cavity, in your chest. But we do want to be breathing more than just a shallow breath. And then the other topic that we talked about was the breathing pattern. So I like to recommend what I sometimes call that 4-7-8 breathing pattern, where it's 7 seconds inhalation, 4-second hold, 8-second exhalation, 4-second hold. But again, you can play with those numbers. One more time, the key is that longer exhale than the inhale, so that we're activating the vagus nerve and tipping the scales more toward the parasympathetic side of the nervous system. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions around this, always feel free to post them in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Dr. Heather ND.